I knew nothing about this project at all. The paperwork must be going to the old owner, which is being forwarded to another state. So how are you making sure that you're in contact with the right homeowner for the right property?
Vanessa, you can help us answer that.
I was provided a list that had the property address, property owner, and if that owner, any owner's address, that if they're out of state, that kind of thing. I've just been going down that list, and I've been physically knocking on doors.
When was that updated though?
I have no idea. I was given it at
The
our
list
pre-committee.
is like the property appraiser's website, and combined with the HOA water service records.
Well,
I just have to use it to be my information.
That's fine, yeah, that's one of the reasons I'm here tonight. We have to stay after and double check and make, time to.
And we have just touched base with the first 44, 45 houses, so we still got a lot more to go.
Guys, if you know of any neighbors who say, oh, I didn't get that letter from ECUA, you've got to get them in contact with your HOA. That's going to be the fastest way to make sure that you're on the list. We shouldn't be missing you. But you know, and you come in new, and we're working from old records downtown.
Just an idea.
You guys are your best defense against that. You know somebody's new in town. You go over and you take the casserole to them. You should be asking them about this as well. Okay, casserole, rum, whatever you take. So please be sure you guys are going to be that best line of defense to make sure that your new neighbors are brought up to speed. You know, as we move into this last execution phase. Anything else?
I mean, so we've got a number of people that didn't get letters. They didn't really know what was coming. Maybe the old property appraiser stuff was wrong. If you got access to email, I'll give you mine. You can send me an email tomorrow. I can make sure you get a letter.
Thank you, Christopher Jones just beat up. He's my first cousin, so Chris Jones, I'll make sure he gets a good chewing from me for this.
Yeah.
Do y'all have a website that y'all got all access to?
Yes.
Well, can't we just post that?
That's what I was telling you. Yeah, maybe we just put it on the website.
All right, any other questions? Okay, I have 4 items that, Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind, I'd like to go ahead and share just some things that matter to y'all. First of all, the Innerarity Park. Many of you have noticed that it is being built to a standard far beyond anything else. It is absolutely gorgeous. With the grant from Trust for Public Lands that paid for the construction of that park, the first 10 years of its maintenance is also paid for. Okay, we are going to be contracting, the county will be contracting with a company specifically for the maintenance because it's well above the standards of all the maintenance that we do elsewhere in the county. Okay, on the sign will be a sign that says this park maintained by that company's logo and that company's phone number. Okay, so that we anticipate. Hopefully December 7th we'll be taking ownership of it. We'll have a grand opening soon thereafter, and the long-awaited Innerarity Park will be soon open. Very soon after that, but waiting for the state to finish their boat ramp, we are going to be resurfacing Galvez Landing, and we are going to be changing some of the traffic flows there. The Marine Advisory Committee is the committee that's responsible for that. I don't have a dog in the hunt. So whatever the Marine Advisory Committee, through their public input and all that, decides is the right thing for Galvez Landing, that's what we're going to do. Your boat ramps in this community are paid for with NERDA funds, which is BP money, and also with the fees that come from registering boats in Escambia County. So that's what maintains them and replaces them. You should expect that to come up fairly soon.
So they are for sure holding off until Big Lagoon's done?
We are. Yeah, you can't shut down both those boat ramps. That'd be havoc. I have a small boat ramp at my house. I'd have 50 people lined up using my... So that was not an offer, by the way. This one, to the Homeowners Association, guys, you are going to want to pay attention to this. As you know, the townhomes are actually platted to have another townhouse building to the north and west of the ones that are there now. A couple of times during my tenure as your commissioner, it's come before us where they've tried, where an attempt has been made to get a permit to build there. That permit often involves an access out onto North Shore, which the county cannot grant because we don't own the road. Think about that. The townhouse is trying, as they try to, in order to meet fire safety codes, they're wanting to be able to access their second access behind your gate. If that is not what the homeowners of Innerarity Island want, it is important that we have turnover down there. I'm not going to be your commissioner forever. It's important that you guys have on the record probably written by a lawyer, stated, that the association is unwilling to accept an access out there, if that's what you desire.
Who owns that piece of land that they're trying to take over all the time?
Oh, it's constantly changing. I don't know, and I'm not even sure who the new applicant is. I'm bringing it up because the email got to me at noon today that another application is going in to build that last townhouse unit.
Somebody privately bought that land, that would stop that, right?
Starting to clear.
Perhaps it would not. Not my ballywick. I can only tell you, and here's what you have to understand, is the county doesn't actually own that access, so we can't really stop them from building because we can't say no to something that we don't own.
But they have to get our permission to access the road.
Precisely.
I was
Okay.
just wondering if, like,
So it's imperative that you guys stay on top of that. And I know your homeowners association, you guys turn over periodically, as do your commissioners and our staff downtown. So just be aware that that's going on. There has been some chatter about pollution in Innerarity and pollution in Perdido Bay. Okay. Before I moved out onto River Road, I lived at the end of Casica Street. That kid back there taking video, or actually watching his phone, grew up in the water of Perdido Bay. Perdido Bay is cleaner. I don't care what anybody else says about this.
Hey!
Okay, regardless of what anybody else tells you, Perdido Bay is cleaner today than it was yesterday. It's cleaner today than it was 10 years ago, and it is on the mend. All right? The worst challenge to Perdido Bay is no longer in international paper. Certainly there's pollution, no question about it. And certainly the historical pollution of the Weyerhaeuser era is going to be with us for a long time. But the greatest risk to that bay now is red clay roads on the Alabama side primarily, too much construction on our side in the watershed leading into the bay, septic tanks too close to the water, and over-fertilization of yards. Okay? That's the ground truth. If you really care about the water quality and you want to stand up and rage against something, we have to remember that we need to stand up and rage against the mirror. If we have a lawn that looks like a golf course, if we are not forcing the county to protect the watershed before the water gets into here. Okay, so please keep that in mind. I've lived and played in that bay for going on 20 years. My kids literally grew up in that water every single day. I'm telling you right now, it's as safe as it has ever been in our lifetimes.
How did that water taste?
Pardon me? Slightly salty. Yes, I went and did a goofy video, and yeah, it's dumb that you have to, that's the only thing that gets attention in political discourse. You can talk intelligently for 4 hours, but you have to do a Facebook video of drinking brackish water to make a point. The reason, hey, it gets you a cartoon in Marlette, right? Here's the thing. The reason I was comfortable drinking the water in the very tip of the upper bay is because I look at these studies every time they come in. You know, we have a Pensacola-Perdido Bay estuary program with federal grant money because me and Grover forced it until we finally have that program. That water, literally where my kids learn to swim, where their kids will learn to swim, it's extremely important to me. So if I thought for a minute that IP was as big a problem as those folks doing those videos are saying, I'd be the one doing the videos. Okay, so please don't let people make you hate, make you fear for your community with that kind of misinformation. Park, talked about the landing and the water in the bay.
Are you familiar with anything about application to put in a boat dock at the townhomes up here?
I have not seen an application yet. So, Coconut Telegraph is always talking about stuff. Yes, I heard about the Circle K 6 months before it was really going into this, talk about putting a Circle K where Mojo's used to be. I don't speak to them publicly until an application has been made, or what we call a pre-application meeting, okay, because I don't speak to hypotheticals. Well, what if this? No, I don't have those conversations. The Circle K Circle K did come and put in an application or a pre-application to put a great big gas station right there at the corner at Innerarity Road. It does not meet with these standards, and a number of issues that the reasons that it doesn't meet with them were given back to them. Have we heard anything back from Circle K? Have they taken another swipe, Jonathan? Do you know? I haven't seen it. Same thing goes with Dollar General. Dollar General wanted to put in right out in front of Chevalier. It does not meet these standards. Now, well, Doug didn't like it, so it didn't happen. That's not how any of this works. It's just not how it works. Is it within the guidelines and the laws as we have them? If the answer is yes, I cannot oppose it. If the answer is no, then I cannot support it. It's really, it's not nearly as dramatic that way, but that's how it works. So, you know, I don't think we've heard anything. You know, and our legal staff did, I thought, an absolute awesome job of fighting off some very powerful legal interests on that. And if anything more comes out on the Circle K, of course, I'll let you know.
Before you email my boss, we have a website, the project website on the county's website. You can look for Innerarity, water and sewer upgrade, Jim Hagan.
There's a link on our homepage to that website.
Yep.
That's right. The very top of y'all's website is a link to our project website.
There's a document that we've talked about or some slide deck that we showed you in one of these meetings and you don't see it there, hit me up. We'll make sure it shows up. Hit Jim up, make sure it shows it. We'll make sure it shows up on there. All right, any other questions?
Quick one.
Yes, sir.
What's the feasibility, it may be too late for this, but underground power lines along IPR in conjunction with the sewer lines? Is that any kind of possibility?
For the public side of your gate or the private side?
Private side.
Anything's possible on the private side. You got your checkbook?
I mean, whether, you know, just wondering if, you know,
Yeah,
actual physical piece.
Definitely the horses left the barn on this project. There would be no possibility of having that discussion within the framework of this project. That's something that you guys could take up with Gulf Power, but before you start to have that conversation, probably 2 shots of whiskey before you get your answer. Okay, it's incredibly expensive. There's a lot of pressure out on Perdido Key. Commissioner, we want underground power and we don't care how much it costs. Okay, here's what it's going to cost. Whoa, no we don't. So, believe me, I hate power lines. I would love for them to be underground out on the island. But the reality is that the cost of salt resilient underground power is incredibly high. Yeah, it's basically underwater power lines. So, great question though. All right, anything else? I'll hang out in the back. I guess you've got business to do to close up, but I'll hang out until the last person leaves. So.
I'd just like to thank you guys for your input.